Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Aberdeen Township Zoning Board of Adjustment public meeting via Zoom. Maxine, would you please call the roll?
Flag is right behind me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody please cite the Pledge of Allegiance?
You gotta say the pledge. You know,
Pledge allegiance to the
Allegiance to the flag
of the United
of
States
the United States of America,
and
to
to
the
the
to the
republic
republic
for
which
which stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
so all the best of us on that.
Compliance with the Open Public Meeting Act, notice of this meeting was sent to the appropriate newspapers September 16th, 2020. Maxine, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Brenner,
Here,
Mr. Bucko,
Here,
Mr. Byak,
here, sorry.
Mr. Falco, Mrs. Friedman, Mr. Phillips, Mr. Phelps,
Here.
Mr. Sinclair.
Here,
Okay, our first order of business is B 20-100 amended, Yote Ying, 140 Lower Main Street.
All right, so Mr. Alfieri, before you start, I have to point out for the record, there are only 5 board members here, and both applications do require use variances. What's going to be your pleasure?
On the first one, we're definitely going to move forward, and we'll see how that goes. On the other one, our client walked out a few minutes ago. I'm waiting for him to come back so I can talk to him about it.
Okay, all right, so on the first one, Mr. Chairman, this is a Maxine, is everyone here eligible to vote on this application?
Hold on, I'll have to look back.
I'm sorry, just want to make sure.
I figured then it was gonna be a new one.
Well, we can start it anew. Do you want to just start it as if we never, Sal, are you willing to waive whatever would happen at the last meeting?
I would actually prefer that because I don't know what happened and I'd rather have control of it.
Okay, all right, so we'll start it anew. The exhibit,
Actually, Mark, George is the only one and he's not here right now.
all right, but we're going to start it new anyway. We might as well. So Sal, the exhibits I have for this application are Exhibit A1 is a survey of the property. And then we have, we had a series of photographs. I've got, one second, I apologize. We have two photographs of the site, which will mark in as Exhibit A2. And then I have a copy of the resolution of the board from back in the resolution adopted by the board back on May 22nd, 2002, which allowed this property, which previously existed as a non-conforming single-family house, was turned into half a residence, with the other half being utilized as a photography studio. So that's what I have. We'll mark that as Exhibit B1 for Board 1.
Right. Jason, you did not review this one. You did not review this one.
Okay, that's all we have. So Sal, if you want to make your appearance.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Salvatore Alfieri, Cleary, Giacobi, Alfieri, and Jacobs on behalf of the applicant. We have Mr. Ying present, seated across from me, and he'll be our only witness.
All right, so Mr. Ying, if you want to raise your right hand. Do you swear a testimony you're about to give this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mark, I have 3 pictures in the file.
You have 3, Maxine. I have.
Oh, actually, I have 4.
You have 4. Okay,
I
I only show 2 that I have. I have the picture. I have the Google Maps of the front of the house, and a Google Maps of basically the rear.
And I have.
I'm sorry. I have another one which is a side view. So I have 3.
Right. Okay, you have the side view with the car in the driveway. You have the back.
Yes.
You should have I don't know, something with a basketball court in the front. And then the true front of the house.
I don't have the one with the basketball court
Those
fencing.
are all from the original hearing.
Okay, so we'll mark all four in, and it's fine. So Exhibit A2 will be a series of 4 photographs.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Mr.
Go ahead, Sal,
Alfieri,
sorry.
Mr. Alfieri, do you not have video capability?
I have video capability, but I do not have these exhibits because they were submitted by Mr. Ying before I got involved.
No, that's fine, but I personally would prefer to see your client when he testifies.
Yeah, he's right. You see?
Yeah, Harvey, you're looking at the wrong screen. There's one that says Sal Alfieri, and there's another one that says Mitchell Jacobs.
I don't, oh, okay, now I have it. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ying, first of all, how long have you owned this property?
Almost 20 years now.
Can you hear him okay?
20 years.
Right, and you heard the board attorney mention that we marked into evidence B1, which was a resolution of approval. Were you the applicant when the approval was granted to use this as a photography studio and house?
Yes.
And you in fact occupied the property with both of those uses?
Right.
How long were you in possession using the property for those 2 uses?
16 years or more.
16 years.
Or more, yeah.
And then you subsequently, why did you close up the business and move out? What happened?
Because my eye, I could not see, and plus my parents passed away. They let me in another house. So I moved back to the old house.
Okay, and then after you vacated this property, was it used or occupied by anyone else?
I rented out to Family Promising for 4 years.
And how long, and they've moved out as well?
Yeah, because they found a new place.
So how long has it been vacant?
Almost a year.
And during that year, you've attempted,
Yeah,
more than a year.
more than a year.
During that year, you've attempted to either sell or rent the property for either a mixed use like you got approved or some other use, is that correct?
Yeah, I tried, but well, my sister told me I could not rent it for some reason.
Right.
But we tried to sell it, I couldn't sell it because so much problem with, I could not sell, I could only sell it as a photography studio.
Right. So as a result of your inability to sell or rent it, you're now before the board to ask them if you could convert it to a single family house.
My realtor said the only way I can sell it is single family house.
Right, so what we're here for tonight is for permission to use it only as a single family house. You understand that if the board were to grant you approval to use it as a single family house, your prior approval will terminate and then a buyer or you cannot use it as a photography studio.
Right, right.
And you're willing to give up that right.
Well, yeah, because I can't do business anymore.
Okay. So now the house itself, is it in condition where someone could just move in or do you have to convert the interior to make it a single family house?
No, they can just move it in.
So when you were occupying it, there wasn't really an office or a studio,
No.
you just do the regular
I
room?
just meet customers, that's it, just like here. Because most of the time I go to the catering home. I go to their house, never contact any photographer.
Right, is there a commercial sign on the property for your business?
When I lived there, there was a song.
It's down now?
Yeah, it's vacant.
Now, the other relief you're asking for is you did install a parking lot.
Yeah.
And you're asking for permission to keep that parking lot there.
Well, because a lot cannot be built, a house cannot do anything. So the best resolution came out with just a parking lot for parking the car because apparently it was a 4 cars. You know, 2 sons, 4 cars and a customer's car. So
Right, but the reason now, if it's converted to a single family house, you technically wouldn't need that large of a parking lot, but you're asking for relief so that you can keep it there.
right, just in case someone like me, they want the parking lot. So because the train station doesn't have any parking lot.
Yeah, so Sal, we would obviously, if the board's going to approve this, want as a condition of approval that parking lot cannot be used for any purpose other than parking for the residents.
Right, and you understand that condition, that's where I was
Well, I
getting.
know that, I know that.
So if someone were to buy or rent this house, if it's approved as a single family house, that parking lot can only be used by the occupants or their visitors, you understand that?
I got it.
And you're willing to live with that condition as well? And the other reason you mentioned to me about the parking lot was it would be very expensive to pull that out and you don't have the money.
I don't have the money now because I and I'm physically disabled, so I couldn't see things really clear. So
And from a zoning
Not
point of
working
view,
now.
you understand from a zoning point of view, this is a split zone. The front of your property is the neighborhood commercial and the back is residential.
I understand that, but it's very confusing. I couldn't solve it. Every time someone come up and there's always this and that, and it just, the whole thing just
Right.
falls apart.
All right, so Sal, so what we're looking to do is return this property basically back to what it was before 2002, which is just a residence. However, you're looking to keep the paved parking lot with the condition that it cannot be utilized as a parking lot and only can be used for parking for the residents.
That's correct. And that actually concludes the presentation, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Me?
I don't want to testify, so I'm going to ask our board secretary a question. If I remember this application originally, wasn't it a non-conforming two-family use that they wanted to convert to single family and the studio?
No, it was a single-family home. He wanted to add the photography studio, and he was going to live in the home. And the board approved it with specific parking instructions and landscaping.
Okay, there were a couple around that area, so I probably have it confused with one of the other
I
ones.
believe,
Thank you.
because the zone doesn't allow single-family homes.
Right, in that front part. I think the rear part would, but
Well,
there's
no,
no access.
right. It's a different zone in the rear. So
Right.
as far as we're concerned, this is the NC. This is the NC zone. So single family homes are not allowed.
Right.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's such a unique, he tried, and I've been speaking to Mr. Ying for some time. Anytime someone wanted to either rent or buy it, they would have a use that would have to come to the zoning board, try and get a variance. That would take 6 months. Every time that happens, a buyer says, I'm not gonna spend the money or wait the time, so it's just constantly, he loses buyers, loses tenants. And the realtor finally advised him that the only way you're gonna get this occupied is to put it back to a single family house.
Right. Which is still a non-permitted use, but it's basically reverting back to the previous non-permitted use.
That's correct.
The parking lot been utilized at all in any way?
No, it would not be. Oh, has it been?
Has it been?
Since it's been vacant, the property, has that parking lot been used in any way?
No, nobody there. I had to
Okay.
go to weed.
It hasn't been used for commuter parking or anything else?
Nobody goes to New York and work now.
But
None.
no, it's been
No.
vacant.
It's vacant. Nobody there.
And what improvements are going to be made, if any?
Will you make any improvements to the property? If this were approved, are you gonna make any improvements to the property, or you're gonna just try and sell it
I
as is?
just started as this.
As is? Yeah, it's habitable, so there's really nothing that
I
needs to
have
be
no
done.
money, so I'm not gonna do anything.
Mark, would this be deed restricted?
No, it wouldn't be. It's just going to be a single family house.
I mean, for the use variance, though.
Deed restricted as what?
Just for single-family residents.
Right, so any use other than single family, they'd have to come before the zoning board again for relief.
Yeah, but you don't need a deed restriction for
Oh,
that.
no.
I mean, no. It's I mean that's essentially why we're here, because every time he's tried to sell this to someone who wants to use it for a commercial purpose other than a photography studio, they know they need to come here. So if someone tries to open up a business in this building, it's going to show up, and Maxine or code enforcement is going to know about it and go out there and say, hey, you don't have permission.
Would it be worth considering a restriction explicitly against using the existing parking for commuter parking? Because that's one that I could see being implemented without any real formal approvals.
That's what I was getting at.
We have no problem preparing a deed restriction that would be recorded prohibiting that parking lot. We have no issue with that, because there's no intent that that would be the use.
I am sorry. You guys want to do a deed restriction saying that you can't use the parking lot for anything other than residents?
Only for the residents, and we would agree to that, Mark.
Okay, that's fine.
Anybody from the board have any questions?
Public?
Any concerns? I'm sorry, Maxine, go ahead.
I think we just need to open it up to the public.
Anybody in the public who has any questions for the board or for the applicant regarding this matter? Paul, is there anybody else on here from the public?
No, we only have two people that I see, and no one's raising their hand.
Who's Moto?
I have no idea, but there are only two people from the public on here. Moto and Jackie Kosin.
She might be the realtor.
Jackie's the realtor for Mr. Ying,
Yeah,
so
she's the realtor.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, there's only one member of the public. It says Moto E6. I don't know who that is, but they're not raising their hand or anything.
They
So
may
I
not know
think
how.
I do not know how, yeah, you're right.
or they could be on the other application.
or they could be on the other application. If Moto E6 is whoever you are, if you want to unmute yourself and just acknowledge that you're not on this application, we'd appreciate it.
Mark, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Dave Phillips. I'm E6 Moto.
Oh, okay. All right. So Dave's here.
Yeah. Yeah, I had trouble with my home computer.
Okay.
Jackie said she has no questions.
Yeah, it's correct.
Pat, can I get a,
With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the application for a return to residential per the applicant's request.
Second,
With, of course, with the stipulations already articulated.
still second.
Mr. Brenner,
Yes.
Mr. Bucko,
Tom, you gotta unmute.
Mr. Bucko,
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. Mr. Byak,
yes.
Mr. Phelps,
yes?
Mr. Sinclair.
No.
Okay. So that was 4 votes.
Dave,
So the
wait a minute.
I don't know. I know Dave. Dave, did you hear the whole application?
Yes.
You did.
Yes.
Okay. So we can count. Then you can call. You can call Mr. Phillips also. Maxine,
I'm sorry.
did you call Mr. Phillips?
Oh, Mr. Phillips is on here?
Yes, he's Moto, and he said he
Oh,
said he heard.
oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
He said he
Mr.
heard the
Phillips,
all. Yeah,
Well, he didn't hear the whole application, did
he
he?
said he did. He said he did hear the whole application.
Okay, Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
You vote yes.
Yes.
Okay, so the application passes 5-1.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
You're finished.
Thank you.
So,
Take care.
Thank you. Oh, what do we need?
Mr. Chair, Mike Agostino application, he would like to proceed with a full board, and therefore if we could accept jurisdiction and carry it to a date certain, we would appreciate it.
All right, so we do have 6 members. You know that. I just want to clarify that, but I understand you want 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so Maxine, what are we looking at?
Oh, beautiful.
What, Mark?
Yeah, he
Okay,
wants
so
to, they want to carry, so what would be the next meeting that they could be on?
All right, Sal, you tell me. You have October 28th for possibly 2 applications. I can't do October 14th.
October 28th works for us.
And then after that, November, I'm not sure about yet, because November 11th is a holiday. I don't have anybody available for the 12th.
No, so we'll
And
take
I don't do the
Maxine.
day.
Yeah,
before
Maxine, they said they'll take October 28th.
October
And
28th.
then into December.
Okay, October 28th then. Can we
Okay.
have yeah, I have no problem with the notice, so board, if I have a motion to carry this to the meeting of October 28th without further notice, that'd be great.
I move it.
Second,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so anyone opposed? No, good. All right, so if anyone in the public is here tonight on this application, I didn't see anybody, but if there was, this application, the Agostino application, which is application B20-102 at 49 Atlantic Avenue, is being carried to the October 28th meeting, which will be at 6:30 p.m. If you want to be heard that evening, be here then. You will not receive any further notice.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
business on the agenda. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Have a good evening, everyone.
Good night.
should we